Yes, mate, day was good. I got a new tripod, which is currently in use right now, so hopefully we'll see slightly better viewing angle. But more importantly, the angle that I'm looking at the model is better, so. And yes, it was indeed muted. Well picked up. Just not super happy with the lighting. It's probably. Oh, yeah, that's alright. Pretty impressed with that dwarf of yours, mate. Came out well. Ah, Chum Dabs. G'day, mate. Yeah, no, it came out well, mate. Came out really well. Hmm. Uh, she is a model from Big Child Creatives. Can't remember her name. Um, but no, I just wanted to have a bit of an experiment with some different non-metallic metal tones. Started with a green base, so she's in a forest atmosphere. Is the theory, and yeah, we'll just see how that evolves. I'm not really good at making plans. I'm just checking it out. Does that keep going out of focus? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. I mean, the whole point of streaming Little Toy Soldier painting is so people can see what you're doing, and that's defeats the purpose if the camera's not focusing. Um. Oh, look, mate. I was actually inspired by a dude from my War Machine friends, Andrew Hayden, who did some streaming, and I just get so many questions about how I do shit all the time, and then I put videos together, and no fucker believes me anyway. How long things take, so thought if I stream some shit, people can't have a cry about how long it takes. No doubt they still will anyway. Wankers. Nah, it's not really spite. I mean, I think when you reach a point um, in any task, any skill, you have to teach to be able to continue to grow and evolve. And so this is just another way for me to teach a little more regularly, I guess. It's hard to do proper classes. So selfish motivations is the answer to the question. By just doing it for myself to try and get better. Yeah, I mean, there's a few. But look, I think probably it's not really a question. It's just annoying to see people not put in the time. Like that's just the one thing that will help. And Ben's a great example of this. He just paints absolutely hard out all the time to try and get better, and that's what I did. I mean, I started seriously display painting 4 or 5 years ago, and I've painted 3 hours a day for probably the last 4 or 5 years with very few breaks in that time, and that's what's allowed me to get better quicker and improve my speed. So hey, Jeffy. So yeah, it's just put in the yards, mate. And the thing that frustrates me most is you see people wanting to be better and having, you know, a good skill set, but then not being able to put in the time to improve, and then wondering why they're not getting any better. Morning, Genuine Vision. Although it is actually evening for me and many of the other friendos on this stream. But we won't hold that against you. Evening, Flickster. Good pick. Drax01 is raiding. What the shit does that mean, people? What the shit, Lila? Need a dark red. Oh, cool. That's awesome. What a legend. Thanks, my guy. Thanks. Drax, you're a champion. Yeah, we're just doing this this girl, seeing how we go. I am from Brisbane, mate. Jeff is from Melbourne, formerly Brisbane. Benny's in Melbourne, and Chumdab's in Toowoomba, I think. No, this one's Big Child Creatives for this piece. It's called... I think I chucked the box out, actually. I don't remember what she's called. Yeah, I chucked the box out, sorry. Aries, yes. I've been meaning to buy that one for a while. Good opportunity to do some cool non-metallic metal on that guy. take it slow, chum dabs. One thing you'll probably do is paint it and hate everything about it, because the transition to large scale is it can be trickier than you would think. Don't get disappointed if it's not as good as you hoped. So one of my problems as a painter, problems maybe not the right word, one of my challenges is I just don't plan shit out. So here we are doing some hair. I have no real plans. Haven't really decided on colours for the leathers or anything. But the obvious issue here, when you look at the model, we can see a axe that is reflecting a lot of ambient colours, and yet it is missing the most obvious ambient colour that is right beside it, which is the red hair. So we will have to go back in and correct that at some point soon. What's that, Benny? You didn't plan anything out, and then you got to a point and you're like, I got no idea what I'm doing? Yeah. This is where David's technique is significantly better than mine, because he plans everything out. So that's actually a very good question, Chum Dabs, and it's an important one to answer. So let me take a little bit of time to answer that properly. If you've ever painted a Citadel miniature base with some sand on it, and you've just done that old dry brushing technique where you dry brush it, and then you look at the base and it looks pretty good, but then you paint the edge black and it looks significantly better. You know what I'm talking about? Well, the reason that you have to work on all elements at the same time is because everything on a model is interacting with everything else on the model. And so if you have your skin and you do a really awesome job on your skin and you're like, yeah, this is fucking mad and I love all these colors and it's looking so good and there's heaps of contrast, and then you paint a dark color beside that, then all of a sudden your skin changes and it looks different, and it may need more contrast, it may need different layers of color, nuance put in there. And the reason is that each surface can't really be looked at as finished until you see the surfaces beside it. So often you'll see a lot of really, really good painters that are far better than me painting all of their base coats, all of their colours on at once. And the reason they do that is so that they can see what the model's going to look like as a whole before making a decision about when an area's had enough highlighting or enough texture or enough colour. So the reason you see me working on all these areas but not really sort of finishing anything is because I don't know if something needs more work until I see the other areas around it. There you go, thanks Jeffy. Northern Wind. Yeah, that's it. That's a great example, mate. The vampire skin. I thought it was going to go a specific way, and then when I looked at the model, I realised that I didn't think that it was going to work. It was going to get lost in everything else that was happening. Yeah, it's really noticeable. I did a painting video a little while back where I did this nun. It's on my YouTube channel, and I painted the skin. And I remember when I finished the skin, because I'd done a fair bit of airbrushing and stuff, I thought it looked way too light, and I wasn't happy with it. But I thought, I'll just fill in some of the other areas and see how it looks. And I did the clothes in black, and all of a sudden the skin just looked more vibrant, had way more colour and life. And I didn't end up doing too much to the skin after that, but it looked significantly different. So that's another example of that in practice. Yeah, David's technique is mind-numbingly boring, and it's a hard pass from me. It's a no from me. But hey, if you've got 12 hours to spend stabbing a paintbrush in the same fucking spot over and over, be my guest, mate. I should message him actually and get him to come on the stream so I can sledge him in person. Love that guy. Yeah, his stuff's world class. Take it from me, I've seen the best in the world in my hand, and David's is as good, yeah, if not better, than many of those artists. But yeah, ain't nobody got time for that. Hey, X-Tab, welcome back, mate. Might just see if we can paint some eyes, I think, on stream. That should be a fucking fun exercise. Painting some little eyes. Oh. There certainly was from the Australian side of things, mate. We absolutely gave it to the Poms, but I mean the thing you have to keep in mind about those sorts of events is most of the players attending that know of each other or know each other from attending other international events. Like I was very close with the Poms and the Germans. We knew the Germans from quite a few events as well, and the Irish guys, legends. So yeah, it's much easier to sledge someone good-natured way when you know them. There was a big difference, yeah, from seeing. I'll cite a few specific examples. Kirill's work in the flesh is very different to what it looks like in the hand. It photographs amazingly well, and I certainly don't think there's no skill involved in what he does, but it wasn't as impressive in the hand as I was expecting. But someone's work like Mark Maskelyne's, um, Andy Wardle, those guys, it's even smoother than it looks in the pictures. Yeah, I tend to agree with that. Her stuff is very unique, and just being able to turn it around lets you see it. Alright, let's do some eyes. Yeah, Andy is a genuinely lovely person and a very, very good painter. I have one of his works here actually. I'll get one out. I'll pull it out. I bought it from him. I'll show you. Yeah, so I bought this. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, I've got a lot of artists over there in my collection. I've got Dmitry Faseshko, got Andy, I've got David, I've got Redav, Christoph Kovalchek. So, but yeah, I find it really helpful to be able to sit here and study their finish of their models in real life. And one thing that is interesting is how often you can see uh, the brush strokes in this. That's a good question. I'll show you my favourite one. And it's for sentimental reasons that I've picked this one. Um, so this is the box art from Bear Crom from FER Miniatures by Raphael Pica. And so the reason this one's my favourite is I actually went and did a 2-day class with Rafa at Massive Voodoo in Augsburg in Germany, and he and I both painted a model. This was the model that he painted, and at the time, no one else had seen this. Hi, Glorious Badger. No one else had seen this model. He'd sculpted it himself, and he'd cast it up, and he was going to give this to me to paint a version as well. And he didn't end up doing that because it was too big, and I didn't feel like I was going to be able to do a good job. But I painted a smaller version of this guy, and he painted this one alongside me, demonstrating the techniques. So this one is my favourite because I got to watch it come to life and then see everyone's amazed reactions when he released it to the public. So he doesn't paint much at the moment, I don't think. He's had a kid and gone back to some of his other job, which was a 3D or illustrator or something. So, but yeah, that is the piece of my collection that is my favourite for those reasons. Alright, I'm going to try and zoom in on the camera so we can watch my awful attempt at painting eyes. Here we go. Look at that 4K quality. Amazing. I've got 15, 16, I think, models over there in my little artist collection. So over the course of the next few streams, I'll show them off. Yeah, mate. I pretty much sell everything I paint. Not not bragging, but I'm just quick, and because I'm quick, I don't charge as much as good painters, so people get cool models but cheaper than probably they would pay from someone who's actually good. So rule number one with painting eyes is that you never paint the eyeballs in white. This colour is actually a grey. If you do white at this stage, it looks like they're bug-eyed. Red Hat stuff is super smooth. Shipping's actually really reasonable from Australia, believe it or not. Most of my stuff I only charge about $20 Australian for shipping, so that's like $6 everywhere else. Yep. Common mistake you see, trap for unwary punters. Yeah, shipping to Oz is what punishes us. So the next thing I'm going to do is white is almost never used. So the next thing you want to do is paint the irises. Now, there's a trick with irises, so I always start with a small circle. So the first trick is you want to have it at the top of the eye. If you have it at the bottom, then it tends to look, again, like they're scared or frightened. You can always go bigger. It's much harder to go smaller. With these irises. Also, never finish the skin around the eyes before, because you'll always fuck up like that. So one thing that's really important with painting the irises, and this is a really crucial one. So if you have a look at this eye, so if you perfectly center this eye and it's looking straight ahead, because the eyes are in different spots on the face, this iris is actually slightly closer to the nose than this one is, and it's one of the weirdest things. You try and do eyes, and you try and get them so perfectly aligned with each other, and it just looks slightly wrong. That's because this eye is centered, and this eye will be slightly closer depending on what direction it's looking. So it's often not noticeable on smaller scale stuff, but on scale like this, I find that that can be one thing that makes your eyes look not quite right. So as I said, it's always much easier to increase the eyes than it is to decrease them. Another pro tip from an amateur is when you paint the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid, it often helps the eye stand out more. So that can be one way of making the eye look better, is just adding a little bit of extra contrast around it, because it reinforces the light to dark contrast between the black outliner, in this case dark red. This bad boy is a 0-0. I don't normally use a small brush like this, but I am in this case. So the next pro tip is the way that light travels through eyes, because our eyes are actually slightly translucent, and so what you tend to see is the highlight for the eye appearing in the bottom of the eye. So my light that I have on this model is coming from the top here, and so the light is actually going to travel into the eye and reflect off the bottom at the back of where the light's coming in. So I think we'll give it green eyes. That only makes sense for the rest of the model. So at this stage I tend to use a fairly dilute colour, Model Air or something like that, and just do a few thin irregular dabs. And then the pupil. So this is one of the only times you ever use black, and I find it looks better if you put the pupil in the top right of the eye, like so. I use Chimera Black for this because it's very, very thin. Oh, I might get away with it. It's always the left one from my perspective I struggle with. Nice. So at this stage I'm just going to add some orangey red to the bottom of the eye. Don't need to do that, but it does tend to look pretty good on busts of this size. And now, what did you get auto-modded for? I don't understand what that is. Held a message for a reason, identity. Oh. A bish. How do I let that come through? Boop. Boop. You gotta make this boop sound when you do eyes. Okay. Boop, 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 beam. Alright, I see where it is. Allow. Boom. Pro Twitcher over here. The best. And there you go. There's tonight's lesson in painting eyeballs. So, just gonna keep tweaking and refining the face because it's the coolest bit to paint. Oh, gotta make noises. Boop, 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 boop. Thanks TD Art. That could be my hashtag, you know. Trent Dennison Art. TD. Boom, boom. It's not though. You've got it. You've got a pattern on it. Yeah, thanks Drax. You're a legend. I just don't know anything about Twitch really. Are you not allowed to swear on Twitch? Because if we're not allowed to swear, I am proper fucked. I tell you what. Good. So, going to do a little bit of contrast painting, I think, very soon with some Citadel contrast. Damn, no nudity for me. Or should I say, damn for all of you. I'll link you to my OnlyFans later. Big Deno up late. Big double D. Yeah, as Jeff, who is on this channel, knows and can probably attest to, I have been known to unleash with some profanity from time to time. Haven't I, Jeffrey? No. No, I'm probably not as bad as you, to be fair. Close. Oh, I better zoom out the camera, yes. Thanks, Chum Dabs. I was just thinking that myself. Very good. So I bought Kirill Kanaev's book from AK Interactive. It arrived today. Had a bit of a read through it. What a cool book. Do not purchase it if you are not ready for a lot of just everything. Absolutely crazy book. I'm doing a bit of Colwell here, bit of the old stippling. Yeah. No, mate. That was about Auschwitz, and some other stuff. No, this one's just a 152, 150, probably 552 page behemoth that just goes through a variety of Kirill's techniques. It's quite wild, actually. Uh, it has to do, like, the eye thing has to do with just contrast. Like, you create, okay, you create there we go. You create more contrast from these three sections, and this is technically a shadow because it falls underneath this. So this bit's a shadow. This then is a light. But if you overdo it on the shading, particularly for female faces, it'll often look really wrong. So you have to be careful with it, especially on female faces. Well, I usually, depending on the model, will keep the model separate from its base. And so I'll just have it on a... If you go to Kmart in Australia, you can buy a box of kids blocks for $10 or $15, and you get a metric shit ton of them, like, and so I just stick them on that. You can also use them for plinths. Like, I've used them for plinths on a variety of models as well. Like, this is one of those Kmart plinths on this trick. It's Kmart, $10, pretty cool. So that's what I would mount it on. Yeah, that's a red hot piece of advice right there. Anko blocks, I think they are, come in a big tub. Cheap as chips. Yeah. I have a Dremel that sits right beside my desk that's always plugged in. Big packet of those blocks. Matching rod that you can cut with a scalpel. Bang. Takes me about 30 seconds to pin something. It's the best. Alright. It is brass tube, actually. I also use aluminium rod, which is easy to cut with a pair of clippers. But yeah, at the moment I'm using brass tubing, which is strong enough. So, yeah. Alright, I need to fill in a little bit of this hair in this dark red so that we look a little bit more correct. I get the brass rod from a hobby shop called Hobbyrama. But yeah, I imagine you'd be able to get something from Bunnings or something similar from Bunnings. I probably should actually look at Bunnings because Hobbyrama is an absolute stitch up in terms of their pricing, but it's just very convenient. So, because I know exactly where I have to go to get it, I wouldn't have to search at Bunnings. Bunnings might take me 5 minutes to find something by using the wonders of the internet. So you can probably tell there is a small problem with the skulls. They are a bit too cold. The rest of the model's got some warmth, even the green's quite warm, so I'm going to need to warm up the skulls a little bit. Yes, I do consume much fantasy sci-fi content, young Ben. It is my bread and butter. It is why I paint little toy soldiers, because I live for that shit. Top 5, you'll have to be more specific. Top 5 books, movies, or TV shows? Alright, well, Avengers Endgame absolutely blew my mind, so that is my number 1. I went and saw it 3 times at the cinemas. It's been a long time since I've seen a movie 3 times at the cinemas. The last one I saw more than once was actually Lord of the Rings, The Fellowship of the Ring. So there you go. Game of Thrones seasons 1 to 6 is up there. I honestly think that Buffy is still to this day one of the finest television shows ever made. And we'll spruik that far and wide. Interestingly, my favourite TV show is not a sci-fi or fantasy show. It is actually the American version of The Office. Just makes me happy watching that show. Love it. Have I? I don't think so. No, I don't think so. Ooh. So I've done a poor job of answering your questions, so let me try again. Buffy, Battlestar Galactica. I'm very excited for the upcoming Lord of the Rings and Wheel of Time TV series. But the Lord of the Rings TV show. Yeah. Battlestar. Yep. Awesome show. I'm absolutely loving Star Trek Discovery at the moment. I've finished the latest season of that this week. Fucking legit. WandaVision was okay. The 2 episodes I've watched so far. Wait and see how that goes. Yeah, Lord of the Rings, pretty great. Pretty great indeed. One of my go-to painting jams when I don't have anything else on is the making of the Lord of the Rings DVDs. It's about 12 or 13 hours of content for each of those DVDs that I can just sit there and consume. Yeah, they're unreal. Unreal. Yeah, no, love the genre. I think as I look back at my life, I was very very early on exposed to Willow and Star Wars from my local library. I hide the VHS tapes out from the library. Awesome. Mad Mardigan, the best. And I think that was it for me from a very young age. I've always just been right into it. King Arthur, and I actually had a book series on King Arthur, a little book, Knights of the Round Table stories when I was a little fella. I remember that vividly, so I'm super excited for the King Arthur Echoes of Camelot models that'll be coming my way soon. Yeah, Xtab, I am not convinced on it yet. I'm not gonna make too many sweeping changes. But I think there's enough cold, dark contrast, probably from cold, warm contrast from the metal, that the skin. We'll see. I think I like how dark they are. I think the darkness is good, and I'll just add some more warmth and light spots to make it look like black skulls. So we'll see. I'm not convinced on that. I did see they are making a new Willow. Yes, I'm very excited. Very, very excited indeed. Warwick Davis is returning. Another one I probably should have mentioned was Harry Potter, of which I am an unashamed fanboy. Yep, can't get enough. Sign me the fuck up. Thanks, chums. See you, mate. Appreciate you jumping on, but I'm just painting toy soldiers, mate. It's not that good. Not like one of those cool dudes who play computer games. Just painting little toy soldiers, mate. It's Stream quality has been pretty good tonight. That's good. No drops. Oh, Xtab, mate, I know that feeling. My girlfriend is very much a snob and she refused to read it for a long time. And then she fell in love with it. The first two books were kids' books, and then the series just gets really, really good. So do yourself a favour and have a read. You won't regret it. Oh, GT's beard is immense. He's got you covered, Ben. Yeah, no, he's GT's easily got you covered. It's a glorious beard. Although I knew GT in his younger days when he didn't have a beard. Far less impressive, Jeff, I must say. Alright, gonna do some of this. I cut my social media down, GT. I don't think you made the cut, mate. Too many posts about bike riding and kids for my liking. Actually only follow, I think on Instagram these days I follow about 150 or 200 people, and on Twitter I follow 17 or something like that. I had this dude have a go at me because he posted one of my pet peeves. Right, I'm gonna go on a little rant here, a little big Deno rant. One of my pet peeves is when people send me messages going, "Oh man, you're so talented," and that is just like the biggest insult to me that you could ever say, because I promise you, and there are many people who can attest to this, it's not talent. I didn't wake up with the God-given ability to paint little toy soldiers. I have spent a long period of time, many hours, dedicating myself to getting better, and that is not talent. That is hard work. And so when people say, "Wow, you're so talented," sometimes I just let it slide if I'm in a particularly good mood. But other times I will fire back and say, "Mate, it's not talent, it's hard work. Get fucked." And anyway, this dude on Twitter sent me a message or replied to one of my things and goes, "Man, you're so talented." And I just replied back, not in a mean way. "It's not talent, it's hard work. Thank you very much." And then, like, at no point was I following the guy on Twitter. Never have followed randoms on Twitter. I have no interest in that. I curate my social media very, very closely so that my social media works for me the way that it's supposed to, instead of it becoming a huge time sink. And anyway, the dude fired back a message. He's like, "Oh, sorry, man. Why did you unfollow me?" I was like, "Come on, mate. I was never following you, pal. Calm down." So that's my rant. It's not talent, it's hard work. Well, I think if you look up talent in the dictionary, it's defined as natural ability. And if there is a talent that I possess, it is the ability to stick to something for long periods of time and improve. I don't think that's a talent. but there are people who think it is. And as Mr. T would say, I pity those fools, because you can achieve anything you want in life with the 3 P's: passion, perseverance, and practice, practice, practice. So most people get caught up on that last one, but that is all you need. Yep, exactly, Flickster. There are people, I'm sure, who have picked up a paintbrush and have been awesome with their first brush stroke, just in the same way as there's musicians who pick up a thing, but that doesn't preclude anyone from being able to achieve that level of skill with enough hard work. And I would also challenge that and say that many painters that you see on social media or in competitions are also in the same boat as me and have worked a long, long time to get there. And to dismiss their hard work as talent smacks of rudeness to me. Yeah, if you don't practice, I said earlier on the stream, I paint for probably 3 hours a day most days. And if you don't do that, you will forget. You will go backwards. In terms of your technical ability anyway, you won't lose the knowledge that you've gained, but failure is not a word I often use. Winston Churchill said, "Success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm." I quite like that quote. So, the moral of the story is hard work. Hard work is what you need to succeed. Yes, I had a miniature painting guru friend of mine whose name was Glenn Lamprecht. If you Google him, you will see that he was the first person anywhere in the world to win 4 Slayer swords. They were in Australia, so they don't really count. But he had a motto, the 3 P's: passion, perseverance, and practice, practice, practice. And I've taken that in stride in many areas of my life. I bring the passion to most things I do. The perseverance is the hard bit. Being able to stick to things over and over and over. Slay a sword, Jeffy. Come on, mate. Showing your noobness now. Yeah. Look, I don't know how the majority of Australians feel about him, but I just recently watched The Crown on Netflix, and I'm an unabashed Churchill fan. Churchill. As I understand, yeah, he's not well liked, but I think there's things we can learn from many people in history who have flaws and or otherwise. Those who do not learn from the past are doomed to repeat it, and so on. I'm just a bag full of good quotes. Hey, Citizen Null. Hello. Oh, Tue! What's going on, you superstar? If you want to watch a really good painter, that guy. That guy. He is a superstar. Yeah, Darkest Hour was awesome. I liked that a lot, that movie. Citizen Null won the Monty Sansevino Best of Show 2 years ago. So that guy's an absolute jet. Was it 2 years ago or 3? Best of Fantasy. Good enough, mate. Far above my lofty heights. Absolutely amazing piece, by the way. Can you link pictures in this? Let me see if I can do some cool shit right now and see if I can bring up a picture of his work. I'll just leave her there. All right. Let's see if I've got the skills. Browser. Okay. All right. Did that come up on screen? Ignore that. Pay no attention to the man behind the curtain. Fuck, I don't know how to spell your last name. Fuck. How do I find it? This is awful. Oh, have you already done it? Alright, here we go. Copy link address. Alright, this is going to be great. Yes! Yes, is it on screen? Can you all see it? Yes, I'm the tech man. Well, what? That. How much of that's scratch built? Big chunk of it, isn't it? What a star. What an absolute legend. And he's Danish too, so you know he's a lovely bloke. %95%. Yeah, blows my mind. I think the thing that stood out to me the most about that the first time I saw it was how stark that orange is. Yeah. It punches you in the face and won't let go. And you're drawn to the whole piece. And then you've got that massive contrast of the teal colour in front. The best. And he also won the speed painting at Monty last year, or the year before. Inside joke there. Alright. Yeah, I'm going to delete that. Yes. Oh. I got mad tech skills. one of the things I like most about the Danish guys and their approach to life. They get to Monty at the start of the week before Monty begins, and they just sit in the square drinking beers, eating Italian food for a week. That's my favourite thing. I was going to do that next year too. Seriously thinking about it anyway. I wonder if that is talent. I wonder if that's a physical limitation. It's an interesting question. Because if you use the term talent like in a sports context, you wouldn't say that someone in a wheelchair has less talent than an able-bodied person, as an example. Probably a poor example, but in this context, isn't that sort of a similar thing? If you don't have the, oh, I do not want to become famous, DC QWERTY. Fuck off. Yeah, no offense to someone in a wheelchair, of course, but they don't have the same mobility as someone who, an elite sports person. But you wouldn't say that they're lacking talent. You would say that they don't have the same physical capabilities. Don't know. I'm yet to meet someone who I didn't think could paint really well if they spend enough time practicing. Speaking of colour theory, the colour theory section in Kirill's new book is exhaustive. Thanks, mate. I'm about to use some contrast paints and cheat my way out of having to do actual brush strokes. Yes, I rate them very highly, mate. I think there's things that you have to be aware of with them, but yes, here we go. We're going to use 3 colours here, straight from the pot almost. Risque. What do you put their improvement down to? Adama. Hello, Snick Son. Sorry, mate, you've just stepped into a little bit of the old hairdryer. My apologies. Thank you. See you, Ben. Keep painting, champion. What's the time? Yeah, it's 9:30. Almost time for my bedtime, I think. It's been a fun stream. The tech's all worked fine and dandy, which is good. Look, mate, I haven't got any real concrete plans on when I'm going to stream at this stage. I've set up a pretty cool little riggedy rig, and I can do it without it impacting my painting too much. So my theory is I'll just turn on the camera whenever I'm sitting down to paint. That's my theory, but some days that is from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Some days it is from 9 till 12. Some days I get home at 4 and I paint till 6 and then don't do any more painting. So I can't really give you a concrete answer. But if I was to ballpark it, I would say most likely I'll be painting on Monday nights, which will be Monday mornings for you. Saturdays and Sundays, which will be during the evening for you in those times, I would think. Friday night, Saturday night, and maybe Thursday nights for me, which will be your Thursday morning. The rest of the time I'll probably spend some time with my significant other and doggo. I'm just going to do a wee spot of airbrushing before I turn off the camera, I think. So I just need to dry this off properly. Thanks, mate. It's not supposed to be full OSL. It's supposed to be sort of more of an ambient environment as opposed to any direct light. It's forested or something like that, but I'll take ambient. Zodiac, don't look back. Interesting question. X-tab. Probably not any real value at this stage. Maybe when I get a little bit more used to streaming, I might use it a bit more. But for the moment, no real value. But good question. It's not a white, it is a cream, which I've mixed from these two colours, Ice Yellow and Verdigris. Both are quite cold, so want to have a little bit of coldness to that area before I go and add some warmth, like I'm about to do right now. Yeah, rarely use white through my airbrush without it being like one of the inks. For that reason, it never seems to look right. So. Which paints? Airbrush paints? I'm broadly speaking, yes, I've tried Tamiya, but they're not my preferred brand. Alright. Whoop. Go, mate. Bumping my camera with my light. What a dickhead. No, I haven't tried the regular paints more than once or twice. I find when I get something that I like, I just stick with it. It's just easier. So I try not to experiment too much. There's way too many paints out there. So just hair drying this girl, so I can do a varnish. So the biggest issue with the airbrush in my experience, and what you probably see here, is that, or at least the way I use it anyway, you lose a lot of the dark contrast. I talk about this in a couple of my videos where using an airbrush as like a filter will cause the lights to come down closer to the midtones, which helps to smooth them out, but it'll also have the effect of darkening or brightening up the shadows, and so you're just having this homogenizing effect where everything's getting closer and closer to the middle, and so you lose a lot of that contrast that you need to create visual interest. So what I tend to do after I do a bit of airbrushing is do a varnish and then go in and do some dark edges just to line all the edges of the model so that it separates those volumes again and re-adds that contrast. So that is a hour and 40-minute stream. I did about 3 hours the other day. So we're at 4.5 hours on this girl, which is pretty cool. So to answer your more specific question, Xtab, I haven't used that particular white because I have a white that I like to use, which is the Chimera white. So like I'm using right here. Boop, 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 boop. Boop, 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 boop. Alright, so I've done 2 streams now. Done 2 contrasting models. 1 cold colours, 1 warm colours. Different steels. Interesting. Alright, thanks all for participating tonight and being legends. I'll see you on my next stream, whenever that may be. Have an excellent time wherever you all are. See you, Glorious Badger, you're a champion. See you, GT. See you, 2A, you Danish superstar.